Hello YouTubes, this is Grimweird coming back at you with more Enigmatica 2 Expert Mod Pack playthrough action. As always, we are joined by our lovely avatar, Zombie Steve. So last episode I started tinkering around with Applied Energistics 2 auto crafting, and I am new to auto crafting and not that experienced with Applied Energistics 2. So, as always, I am not an expert, but I hope to be one by the end of this playthrough, or at least much closer. So, I wanted to show you the progress I've made. I opened up a lot of this area. There used to be a pool here, and then I just basically cut all this out, dried up the pool, and gave myself some room to put in some applied energistic stuff. So here I have a bank of crafting storage and CPU co-processing unit here so that my molecular assemblers can be used by multiple interfaces. Here I've got in the center of this there is a molecular assembler, and there's a second one out here. I'll continue to build on this as I need room and make stuff. But currently I'm just sort of getting started at that. So the molecular assembler seems to handle most stuff like, just crafting table type stuff. So to show you where I'm at on there, like for instance in this one, these are all the patterns needed basically to make a molecular assembler. So if I go, so if we take a look at this, you need some sheet metal, you need some quartz glass, the formation and annihilation cores, all the pieces of crafting tools or crafters. And so if we take a look here, I've made patterns for all of those so that as I get the ingredients and whatnot and need expansion, I can start auto crafting molecular assemblers. I've also started up the recipes for auto crafting, storage, and whatnot. So basically, I'm starting with a lot of patterns for automated crafting of just applied energistic stuff to sort of bootstrap myself into quickly getting, a big ME system going. What else is going on? So, I've run power upstairs, as you can see here, and I've run ME upstairs. So we've opened up another floor in the old base here. As you can see, the dirt's all gone because we've successfully had the astral sorcery cave illuminator light up the ceiling pretty well. So here is my first shot at a bank of process-oriented auto crafting. So I've got universal cables for mechanism coming up for power. I've got the smart cable coming up. I've got an enrichment chamber, a metallurgic infuser, a couple of smelting factories, a couple of crushers, and a pulverizer. So one of the things that I've had to learn through this is just what cables and pipes and conduits and ducts and whatever work with what sides you can use for what, how to get things to interact with each other. So for instance, in these mechanism cases, I've got power coming in through the bottom. So these mechanism ones, if you're familiar with mechanism, you know that they're pretty configurable on what side does what for the most case. So I've got energy coming up through the bottom. I've got input dark red from the top. So this is my ME interface. So for instance, I can input the stuff for making compressed carbon or compressed redstone. That'll come in through the top. We got the power through the bottom, and then we're outputting with auto eject on through the back. So here you can see I've used some thermodynamics item ducts, and those all attached to this chest, so that once I make the compressed carbon or compressed redstone, it just sort of rolls out into this chest, and then this chest has an import bus on it to suck it back into my ME system. So that's sort of how these four mechanisms are set up. mechanism machines are set up. On the crushers, they don't have that kind of interface. So initially that was a problem of figuring out how to make it do something. So when I give it an encoded pattern here, it will push in and it will take in the ore to make the pulverized iron, but it won't eject it and it won't output it. So it just sits there and the recipe never completes. So for that case, I have these servos from thermodynamics with the redstones disabled to basically have them always on to suck things out. So there's a difference between being able to auto eject with the mechanism ones to having to actually suck things out by attaching the servo to here. And then you have this last boy here, the pulverizer. That actually works well because you can set up the top for both input and output. So you have the blue and orange combined here. So blue is coming in for the input and then orange is going for the output. And I can set that to happen both on one side, and that seems to be working well with the interface. So the interface can both put it in and put it out without having to send it over this chest. So that pulverizer is not hooked up to this chest and import bus. It works on its own some. So this is my first bank of 8 machines. 7. So I got room for an 8th down here if I want one. Or over here. Because I'm using ME smart cables here. Oh no, I don't have room for an 8th. That's right, because I've got the import bus to bring things back. So I got the 7 ME interfaces for each machine, and then the import bus to bring things back from the mechanism and extra utilities things. But this all seems to be working. If I go down here, and I need to propagate crafting table or crafting interfaces up there, but if we go here and let's say we want to do some compressed redstone, currently we have one. If I middle click, say I want another one, I can start, and if we check things, it says it's crafting. I don't know if we can make it upstairs before it's done, but probably not. I don't have any speed upgrades up in this up in these machines yet. Okay, but it looks like it's done. So if we, what just happened? So you can see we have 2. So that's working fine, and for let's see, I have my pulverized iron here. So if we go downstairs, and say we want pulverized iron, oops. So we've got 68, hit the middle button, tell it I want 2 more, hit start. And you can see this guy's chugging along, and then it's done. And if we double check here, you can see we now have 70. So I am successfully pulling the products out with the servo. So I have a lot more patterns to make. So obviously the enrichment chamber, I want to make compressed diamond and a few other things. I got to make a bunch of patterns for my metallurgic infuser, a bunch of patterns for the smelteries, a bunch of patterns for this. Need to make upgrades for a lot of these machines because these are spare machines over and above what I have downstairs. So I left most of my manual manufacturing in place until I am sure I've got everything set up the way I like it for the ME stuff. But things are coming along. Yeah. What else is there to talk about on this? Gonna go check my astral sorcery lighting situation, see if it's filled in yet. Nope. Hey, there we go. I am getting a little concerned that I might be causing myself some lag with all of this astral sorcery lighting, these yellow cave illuminator lights that I'm putting up everywhere. My performance seems to be going down, but I'm not sure if that's just natural expansion of my base and having all this ME and power and etc. going everywhere, or if that's these cave illuminator lights. But basically, once I get into Ender IO and have access to that kind of stuff, I think I've used in the past and like, what is it? These wireless lights are sort of nice, and they let's see, to make the electric lights. I'm going to want to get a bit further into stuff before I start farting around with this, probably. But yeah, I might make some of that stuff and replace all my ceiling lighting with, you can kill these things pretty easy just by putting a block through them. It's like I don't necessarily like having them at eye level. So if I hit it with some dirt, that gets rid of it. So let's see, yeah, I got to expand this. I got to make a bunch of patterns for a bunch of things. I got to build this up. I got to take a look at all the patterns I'm going to need. So if I think about every little thing that I craft on a crafting table and which of them I would like to have patterns for, that number becomes fairly huge. And I'm not 100% sure, since these will only hold 9 each. That means I'm probably going to need a whole crap ton of these ME interfaces. So I might be missing something there. Or maybe I just really need a whole crap ton of them. But if so, I can do that. CPU, this is what I've made so far. I'm not getting into any huge batches so far, so I'm not exactly sure what my capacity is, but maybe we should check that out. So let's say I want to craft this, and I want to say make 100 bytes used 224. So I think I have like 6K bytes. So I've got 7 1K devices there. So let's see if I can put something in here that breaks that. Alright, I think I might still be able to do that. So let's go back and tell it I want 10,000. I'd be using 12,000 bytes and I don't have that much, etc. Well, I'll have to play around with that and see what I'm up against here. Since I always do need a bunch of iron, I may just go ahead and do that. I don't want to get too carried away though, so maybe I'll just make 100 for now. And I don't want to get too carried away, because one of the next things I do once I get sort of Applied Energistics underway and get some crafting, auto crafting going, so I need to start investigating going beyond ore doubling. So ore tripling, quadrupling, quintupling. I don't know anything about that other than I've seen, a few other playthroughs that I've watched. I've seen people set that up and talk about it. Hey, my pulverized iron is going up, so that's good. Everything's working. So that's actually pretty handy. I also want to see, I think the reason I made those mechanism smelteries was for smelting those, so I don't have to worry about my smelters. So yeah. So maybe we can double up jobs and see what that does to my bytes used as a test. So if I go, oh, but first I got to teach it. So sorry for all the running up and down the ladders. I need to propagate terminals to my other floors so that I don't have to go up and down the ladders all the time. So if I want to teach it a processing pattern for iron ingots, and I want to teach it to do this. Oops. So I'm going to put that there. Let's see if this bad boy works. So iron ingot. Say I want to make 10. Got 10 dust available. Oh, no crafting CPUs are available. That's right, because I'm going to need more separate CPUs. That's one reason I kept my CPU pretty small here, and I'm going to now take that smaller. So probably what I'll do is make like just 2 or 3 small ones here, so that I can parallel process things with my CPUs. Because as it stands now, I'm not going to be able to craft anything else until this one's done, since I've only got this one CPU. So I'll probably make sort of one bigger one that's like coprocessor and these 3, and that'll be my number 1. And then I might even just split these out into like 4 different ones, and then grow them. I'm just gonna line them up here, possibly just line them up like cards here, and as long as I have a space between them, they will remain separate. And they have to be rectangles, but yeah. So let me go ahead and, since this is taking forever, cancel that. Pull those off there. Grab them out of there. Just slap a few on here. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Alright, so now I have a bunch of CPUs. One big one with a coprocessor, and then 3 small ones. Big. Well, it's not big, but it's for the amount of crafting I'm currently doing, it's big. So now if I go pulverized and tell it I want, say, 60. So now I can cycle through my ones here. I've got CPO 0 that has one coprocessor, and then I've got the other little guys that each have no coprocessors. It's only going to use 144 bytes. Each of the little ones has 1024. So I could tell it to use, say, 1 and go. And then here I can go iron ingot. Tell it I want to make, say, 20. Tell it to use 0 and start. Let's go take a look at what happens. So that is smelting, but I'm not sure it's auto-ejecting. That is crushing. Let's see, up, down, left, right, back. Is auto-eject on? No. There we go. So now if I take a look here, crafting, and that's coming down. It's giving me a time estimate. CPU 0, CPU 1 is still doing this. Gives me a time estimate. And it is slowly counting down? Yes. Alright, so I need to make speed upgrades and possibly power upgrades. Let me see how things are going. I have so much power now for what I'm currently doing. Obviously I won't have so much power later in the game, but outputting 325, inputting 325. I'm only inputting 325 because my storage is maxed at 25 billion RF. As it was filling up my expanded induction matrix here, I burned 2 melons. My advanced generator that is taking melons into biofuel, into ethylene, and turning it into energy. Used up 2 whole melons from 4095 down to 4093. So the fact that I can pump out, like, I don't know, at least 3 or 4 melons, well, at least a couple melons per tick with this setup is way overkill. But I have other uses for this, so what I'll do is I might change this from a melon bin, a mechanism melon bin, to an all-purpose box. And then what I can do is I can change this guy from making melons to making wheat or what have you. And I don't know if the wheat will go through the metal press, so yeah, I might just have to collect it here. Anyway, I'll figure something out. Let's see, what else could I talk about this episode? I think that's pretty much it. This expansion and making some CPUs and some molecular assemblers for crafting and hooking up machines upstairs into my first bank of auto processing machines. That has been a good chunk of my time for the last day and a half. So what I'm going to do next, just to give you a feel for what I'm doing, is I can take this side of this and put another bank here, and then probably another bank here and another bank here of more machines. and get a bunch more upgrades, speed upgrades going on to get all this running faster. And then I want to, I don't know what I want to do. Mostly just want to get some more auto crafting going. So that's how I'm going to spend the next couple of days, is just making lots and lots of these patterns, so that I can make use of all of these machines well, and then spread out some more machines. There are other machines that I want to put up here. I want to put maybe my manufactory from Nuclear Craft and a few other things up here. I can hook a magma crucible up there. Let's see, probably the manufactory. The thermionic machines, that's going to be another one where I have to figure out how to get things in and out of them. So that might take some work. I can put a second alloy furnace up there. Yeah. Plus I might make some more machines. Some of the Ender IO machines are still sort of a pain to make. I wanted to get into some of their machines, but some of them take ender pearls, alloys with ender pearls, and I don't have an ender pearl farm quite yet. So, anyway, that's what's going on. ME is progressing, and we'll be back next time, and probably in my next episode I'll have a bunch more stuff. Maybe another bank of machines up there auto processing, and a bunch of speed upgrades so they do it faster, and probably expand on. I gotta look into how many ME interfaces and molecular assemblers I think I'm really going to need, and build probably a whole lot more of them to split off of this side of this sort of trunk line, if you will. It's up to 11 of 32, so I can fit a bunch more stuff on here and then make a second cluster of interfaces and whatnot. I'm sick of running up and down stairs, so I need to make sure that I have all the types of terminals on each floor, so that I'm not necessarily running up and down the stairs all the time. Yeah. I'd like to make a wireless terminal here, crafting terminal. What do those cost again? Oh yeah, that's why I haven't done it yet, is because it's going to take... that might be worth it. So, how many ender pearls do I have? I think I have enough ender pearls to do that, so I might as well do that. Oh yeah, I got plenty. So maybe I'll try to turn this into a wireless crafting terminal so I can craft on the move. Probably also going to put... currently have one wireless access point with 4 cards in it. Probably going to make a second wireless access point. Move it upstairs a bit and split the cards up to make sure I have wireless connection everywhere. So yeah, things are coming along. I think I'm going to stop here because I'm basically babbling and repeating myself at this point, but progress is being made. So we're going to bash through getting things more set up, and next episode I'll show you what more I've accomplished, and hopefully I'll have a lot more patterns to be able to auto craft. And sort of be settled into that, and then we can figure out what we're going to do next. Maybe some ore tripling, doubling, or tripling, quadrupling, quintupling. Maybe trying to push into Ender IO. Yeah, something like that. So that's what's coming up in the future, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.